Salete discipuli. Today's lesson is on the substantive adjectives. This is lesson 28 in your Latin for Americans textbook. This is not a particularly long lesson, and in fact you have no new forms to learn. We're going to review the first and second declension endings as part of this lesson, but you just need to know a new way that an adjective can work. The substantive adjective, okay? Now, because Latin adjectives have gender, number, and case, the Romans didn't feel it necessary to write man, woman, or thing after their adjectives, right? Because the adjective would tell you if it was masculine or feminine or neuter. So they would just leave the noun out. Only if the noun would have been wir, femina, or a generic word for thing. The gender implies what noun you should translate after it. So if you have an adjective in a sentence that is not describing a noun, meaning that it's not in the same gender, number, and case as a noun, you have a substantive adjective, so called because it takes on the substance of a noun, okay? So how do you translate substantive adjectives? It depends on the gender and number of the adjective, but if you have a masculine adjective, you're gonna include the word man after it. If it's masculine plural, it'll be men, right? If you have a feminine singular adjective, you include the word woman, plural women. If it's a neuter singular thing, neuter plural things. You also have to translate the adjective according to its case, just like you would a noun, right? Because this is an adjective that has taken on the substance of a noun. So you have to follow the same rules. For example, if you see the word bona, you would know, hopefully from context, that this is the nominative singular feminine, bona. So you would translate it the good woman, right? You translate it like a nominative and you translate it like a feminine singular, woman. But if you see bonarum, that's genitive plural feminine, so you have to translate bonarum of the good women, okay? Now, here is just a review of the first, second declension adjective endings. And in fact, I want you to push pause and to write down these endings in your notebook so you have a nice, clear review chart of how you decline the adjective. Okay, so why don't you push pause? I'll just sit here and hum to myself. Do 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 do. Okay, you ready? All right. Once you have written down these endings, we can go through a review of how we're going to translate all of these substantive adjectives, okay? So what you see here is a chart that I made that gives you the masculine singular, feminine singular, neuter singular, masculine plural, feminine plural, neuter plural for all of the cases. So if you see the substantive adjective bonus, you know to translate it a good man. If you see bonos, good men. If you see bonis, depending on the context of the sentence, it's going to be to or for the good men or women or things, right? If you see bone, oh, good man, right? And again, I want you to take a couple of minutes, push pause, and copy out this chart because it will help you, okay? Now, the last thing we need to do is just look at some examples of how substantive adjectives are going to work within a sentence. So, for example, agricola bonus pulchram amabat. We have two adjectives in this sentence, bonus and pulchram. Bonus, that US ending tells us that it's masculine singular nominative. Is there a masculine singular nominative for bonus to be describing? Oh, yes, there is. Agricola, right? Agricola is masculine singular nominative. The second adjective we have is pulchram, feminine singular accusative. Do we have a feminine singular accusative noun to for this adjective to be describing? No, we do not. Therefore, pulchram is our substantive adjective. So when we translate the sentence, we're going to translate subject, verb, direct object. The good farmer was loving the beautiful, and then we have to add either man, woman, or thing, depending on the gender and number of pulchron. Since pulchron is accusative singular feminine, it's going to be the good farmer was loving the beautiful woman. Okay? Aequus otium magnum efficit. Aequus and magnum are our two adjectives. So why don't you think about this for a second and tell me which of these adjectives is the substantive adjective, or maybe both are, but why don't you take a minute and think. Magnum is describing otium, so that's not substantive. That's going to be great leisure, right? But is Aequus describing anything in the sentence? It is not. Now, since it is masculine and singular, and the subject because it's nominative, we're going to translate this Aequus. A calm man produces great leisure or great peace, right? Okay, what about this last sentence? Mali pauca amicis miserunt. How many adjectives do we have? Okay, we got two. We got Mali. Hold on one second. My finger got ahead of me. Sorry, we have Mali and we have pauca, right? Amicis is a noun. So let's break this down. We know we're going to need a plural subject. We know that Mali can be nominative, plural, masculine. So this is a substantive or not a substantive? Is this describing something? No, it is not. So Mali, the bad men, miserunt, sent pauca. Now, if this is accusative, the only time an A can be an accusative ending is if it's neuter plural, so this has to be a neuter plural ending. The bad men sent few things, neuter, amicis, to their friends. Okay, I hope that you guys have a lovely evening, and I will see you in class. Walete.